Welcome to the Cambridge Tech Podcast, talking all things technology from the heart of the UK's tech capital. Here are your hosts, Faye Holland and James Parton.
Hi, I'm James.
And I'm Faye. So James, it was another 4-day week last week.
I know. What a great month this is.
Roll on May.
Yeah. So, since the last episode, what have I been up to? I went to the Cambridge Community Organisers Meetup, which was nice, talking all things community. That really attracts a nice crowd. Lucy Cavendish came into Bradfield and Jane was showing them around the science park, which was nice to see them. And yeah, I've just been working, on usual stuff, trying to get some more technical meetup groups to the Bradfield. So some news to share on that shortly. How about you?
Great. So it was still quite a busy week. We had a really big PR run to do, which generated some great interest. So more on that in due course. I had another board meeting with the Chambers of Commerce here in Cambridgeshire. And we're cooking up some really great activities for the region, and I'm very much looking forward to releasing those, but they'll take a good few months to plan for and to roll out. So I have to be patient and controlled about these things.
Can I put you on the spot with a completely unplanned question?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, okay then. So, obviously a lot of entrepreneurs and startup folks listen to the podcast. They might not immediately think the Chambers of Commerce is kind of relevant to what they do. So what would you say? What changes are happening to kind of engage that side of the city?
So we have so many people now, from the smallest tech companies to the largest, that are signing up as membership. And it's this kind of realization, right, that when you're in a business, you actually need so much more support, whether it is starting up or it's doing international trade. So there's this really broad spectrum of things that the Chamber can do. And it's like the voice for business. It represents tens of thousands of employees across the region. So it's kind of, it's not a lobbying organisation at all, but it has that voice for business. And it's really interesting because we were talking about it yesterday in a different meeting. And in Germany, to set up a business, you have to be a member of the Chambers of Commerce. And actually, I think we're starting to see that much more in Cambridge because we've got a lot more to offer. So, that dynamic of it used to be quite an old organisation, that's completely changing now. And I think, part of it is because we've got an excellent board and we've got a really great chair. So hopefully we're being a bit of a flagship for Chambers of Commerce across the rest of the UK. And it's global. There are Chambers of Commerce in every single country. So if our members want to go and open an office in China or Egypt or America, then we can line them up with the local chambers. So there's loads of reasons to get involved, and people can definitely reach out to me if they want to find out more.
Nice.
Did I do all right?
Yeah, it's pretty good for a spontaneous answer, yeah.
Give me another. No, I'm joking. Don't give me another one. It's way too much to cope with. So maybe we should get Charlotte on. Maybe we should get the CEO on to talk about it a little bit more. What else? We've kicked off some work with another international business. So I love it because, we have a very big stronghold in Cambridge, but we work with people all over the world. So that one's quite good as well. And I've found out about one of your secret projects. You talk about your secret projects and you can't tell us about it. Everything roots back to me, right? I've actually found out about it because we've been pulled into the PR, but I'll keep quiet for now, right? I won't steal your thunder.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's obviously part of the whole Tech Week thing as well, right? So as soon as we can talk about that, let's do that.
Excellent. And then, James, you've also spoken to Mike Shalom from Cambridge Independent in advance of the Science and Tech Awards, which take place in a few weeks. So let's run that interview and hopefully there'll be some useful information in there for everyone.
So, Mike, welcome to the podcast. As it's your first time with us, do you want to just do a quick introduction?
Yes, hi James. Thank you very much for having me on Cambridge Tech Podcast. It's much appreciated. I'm Mike Shalom from the Cambridge Independent. I'm the business correspondent and senior journalist at the paper.
Amazing. Well, we've got an exciting date in the calendar coming up with the Science and Tech Awards. Do you want to give us a flavour of maybe the history of the awards and the categories?
Sure. Well, the Cambridge Independent started in 2016. We had our first Science and Technology Awards then, and they've been going from strength to strength. There's a record number of nominations this year. The standard was exceptional as always. This year, the ceremony takes place at Hingston Hall on the Wellcome Genome campus from 5:15 on Thursday, the 15th of May, starting with a networking reception, followed by the awards, at which the winners of 16 categories will be revealed.
So it's been going a while. Has the awards developed a good track record of picking the hot up-and-coming startups from Cambridge?
Yep. It's been pretty good. You can hardly go wrong in Cambridge. I mean, everything that happens is amazing. I don't think there's been any great clangers. We've got a pretty good track record in terms of the categories. I mean, the difficult ones, I suppose, are in terms of metrics, are like tech for goods, quite difficult to have a feel on in terms of subsequent investment and so on. But things like Startup of the Year, Biotech of the Year, Life Sciences Company of the Year, Technology Company of the Year, those are all categories where, the classic winners have always kind of like shone through. So yeah, it's been pretty successful so far, and I think it's a good guide for investors to have a snapshot of what's going on in Cambridge at this point in time. I think that's a very productive way to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a nice segue to my next question. We talk to a lot of founders on the podcast, and sometimes, it's not immediately obvious why they should take the time out of their busy schedules building their companies, to apply to things like awards. What would be your thoughts on that and your advice to them? What are the kind of benefits from going through a process like this?
Well, my immediate advice is get involved. There are benefits, even if it just comes down to you're sitting there thinking, well, what have we achieved in the last year? What can we say? How can we present ourselves optimally to an audience of investors, the general public, to your peers, to potential employees? So those sort of things, are of benefit to all the entrants. And what we're looking for is the same as, what any kind of investor would be looking for, a track record of people showing that they have the competence and the skill set required to take the company forward, the ability to generate or attract investment, services and products, technologies, healthcare treatments that are going to put everybody in good stead in the future. Well, I think what you have to remember about Cambridge is that a lot of people, yes, people are motivated by money, of course, because any company needs money to survive. But a lot of people are actually motivated by getting new healthcare treatments on the market, developing technology for a sustainable future. Those sort of themes are very important to startups and to the larger companies. And that's a really great way to be able to celebrate what's going on in terms of these companies are benefiting humankind in multiple ways.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter if you're a well-established large corporate all the way through down to an early-stage startup. Everyone in Cambridge is looking for talent, right? So, recognition through awards is a great way to put yourself on the radar of potential new hires, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And we also celebrate the kind of nooks and crannies of what's going on. So, for instance, Researcher of the Year, which is a very scientifically focused award, produces some incredible results from, Babraham, Adam Brooks, the MRC, and the other centres and hubs that are going on in the city. There's Biotech of the Year, CEO of the Year, Award for Innovation, Technology Company of the Year. One of the ones that always really impresses me when it comes to judging is the Employer of the Year. These are filled in by, I guess, probably perhaps an HR team or a comms team, and they're often 8 to 10 pages, and they list in precise detail not just the benefits of working for the company in terms of the financial package, but also what benefits there are in terms of social activities, the environment, the charitable causes that company might support, how things like meetings are structured. It always amuses me that a company like River Lane has this thing where anybody can shout out for a meeting at any point in time in the day, coming from a culture where meetings are sort of siloed in, and having that sort of openness in terms of inter-office communication, I think is a really great way to attract employees. And of course, people want to know, what the work-life balance is, how much of it is going to be in the office. There are all those sorts of aspects. Are you going to be expected to be on site, all the time and all the rest of it? Those sort of options are studied very closely by potential employees and indeed potential investors, of course.
Yeah, so you're one of the judges for the competition. So any tips in terms of, what the judges are looking for that potential applicants should be looking to include on those applications?
Well, yes. I mean, I always say that if you're applying, you have to kind of like hit a tone, which on the one side is sort of like an Oscar speech when you just won the Oscar about how great it is and how thank you everybody, and what a wonderful company and what a wonderful journey you've been on. And on the other side, it's like a CV or an application for a job. You've got to get in bullet points of what investments you've done, what launches have happened, what's going to be coming up. I think that one of the big mistakes people do make, I'm sure it's not just for our awards, but generally, we're looking for what's happened in the last year, the achievements that have happened in the last year. So you might be a really successful company and have a fantastic track record over 5 years. But what we're looking at is what's happened in the last year that puts you ahead of the crowd. What launches or achievements can you point to that make it a particularly successful year where you've really stood out in the last 12 months for the award that you're applying for?
Awesome. Well, it's always a great evening. Good luck to everyone on the shortlist. And do you just want to leave us with a quick reminder of where to get the tickets and the date of the award ceremony?
Yeah, sure. So limited tickets now at this point already. So do get involved as quickly as you can at Eventbrite. You can buy them via bit.ly, which is bit.ly/SciTech, SCITECH 2025. So that's bit.ly/SciTech 2025, all one word. Hingston Hall, 15th of May. 5:15. It's going to be a great night, and there's 16 winners who are going to be announced at that event, and it's always something that is a thrill to be part of.
That's great. Thanks, Mike.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thanks for doing that, James. It's an interesting perspective, isn't it? I think, Mike spoke a lot at the beginning about innovation with purpose, which seemed to be pretty high on their agenda, and also the impact of awards and employees, which I think people sometimes forget. It's a great thing for employees within organisations and also for attracting investors. I really like the bit on his advice for submitting awards. We see loads of them, don't we? Get on message quickly and showcase why you've done something different in that last year to make you worthy of being a contender. So yeah, again, thanks for doing that, James.
Yeah, and of course we'll bring the news of the winners later on in May after the awards ceremony. So right, shall we move on to this week's news? It's obviously been a little bit quieter this week with the whole Easter holiday and the 4-day week, but do you want to start us off with the first story?
Yeah, and this is just, a friend of the podcast story, really. So Anthrotech, who we've talked about before, they're doing the hyper-realistic artificial skin and medical simulation innovation. They had a group of MBA students from the Harbin Institute of Technology from Shenzhen over. And I like things like this because it's about sharing knowledge and expertise and all of those kinds of things. And Nazmus Tarek, who will be on the podcast in a few weeks' time, said that the visit served as a meaningful exchange of ideas and perspectives and an exciting opportunity to explore future China-facing collaborations. So well done to Anthrotech for, supporting the next generation of entrepreneurs.
Yeah, absolutely. The next story, I guess, could also qualify as friends of the show. We sound like a bunch of old lovies now, don't we? We're just friends with everyone. So I noticed on LinkedIn that Oriane Chaussio, who's the Chief Scientific Officer and co-founder at Heartfelt Technologies, had posted a really exciting update on LinkedIn. So they've reached a significant milestone in their clinical journey and they've secured IDE Category B approval for a fully funded US trial supported by Medicare. The trial will enrol 1,600 heart failure patients, which will enable the collection of robust real-world evidence in both the US and the UK markets. So that's really great news, and congratulations to Oriane and Seamus. And if you want to dig back into the archive to listen to our full-length interview with Heartfelt Technology, that was episode 62.
Brilliant news. And then I don't think any of you will have missed the promotions for ChemTech Week really started in earnest this week. The programme has been announced. The initial speaker details have been released. What I would say is it's really interesting that it's based in Cambridge, But this year it's got such a national and global feel to it. You can see this in the speaker bookings and the sponsorship inquiries, which I think is really exciting news. For anyone who is interested in finding out more, the call for speakers is open. The plan for Innovation Alley has been released, so people can now start to submit if they've got a technology innovation. They can submit to exhibit at Innovation Alley. So head over to cambridgetechweek.co.uk to find out more.
Lovely. Okay, well, let's move on to this week's interview. And this week, it's all about Cambridge Wide Open Week.
So hi Prashant, it's great to have you with us today. It's 6 weeks until Cambridge Wide Open Week. How are you feeling?
Bit of nervous excitement, but we've received a really encouraging response from the community, both in terms of people wanting to attend and companies willing to present and venues, facilities and funds wanting to take part. So yeah, we're kind of a bit of feeling optimistic and looking forward to the big day.
So the eagle-eyed will have noticed that it's now Cambridge Wide Open Week and not Cambridge Wide Open Day. So what's made you want to go so much bigger and bolder?
Well, I think the key thing behind it is, firstly, Cambridge is a really phenomenally exciting ecosystem. There's so much happening. The Cambridge Wide Open Day was more about opening up the venues and seeing some of the people and places, but there's so many other interesting activities happening throughout the year. So by concentrating conferences, discussions, forums within a single week kind of makes it easier for people to kind of visit Cambridge and do their own meetings, see different facets of what's going on in Cambridge. So it was a bit hard to kind of squash it all into one day. So we've also taken the opportunity to kind of tag in things that are happening at different times of the year into a week. So it's a more kind of curated experience, and people can dip in and out of things which interest them a little bit more. It's especially convenient for people coming from outside Cambridge or even outside the UK, and hopefully we get some warm summer sunshine, and hopefully it'll be an exciting, fun, warm week.
Well, we can never say about the weather, Prashant, can we, as well, you know, but So let's talk through the week a little bit more in detail then. So there's still the Cambridge Wide Open Day on the Wednesday, which we'll talk about in a minute. But the one thing that I absolutely love that you've added to the start of the week is this investor showcase. So talk to us about the Ventures Tour. Who's involved? What type of companies are going to be pitching?
Well, the Cambridge Wide Open Day was very much about the science parks and the venues and showing around people what's new and exciting in Cambridge in terms of facilities. But what we really wanted to do with the Cambridge Venture Tour was to say, well, look, these are the funds, these are the exciting companies, these are the exciting people behind the companies. So we've asked each of the leading funds in Cambridge and nearby, also the accelerators and incubators, to kind of showcase their most exciting companies. And this is where we've kind of had a really happy response, whether it's Amadeus, Cambridge Innovation Capital, Meltwind, Cambridge Angels, Cambridge Enterprise, Babraham, BioSpark, Stevenage Bioscience Catalyst Centre, even O2H Ventures. Everybody has kind of been really encouraged and enthusiastic about creating a kind of a showcase from pre-seed into seed, Series A, even into Series B companies of what's really happening in Cambridge. So this is an opportunity for all of us to see what's happening in one shot in terms of exciting companies in Cambridge, but it also makes it easier for investors from around the country, and hopefully will begin to attract investor interest from around the world, and hopefully we've made it easier for people to see what's going on in terms of investment opportunities in Cambridge, which will help build the ecosystem if we can attract people in that way.
Yeah, and I think it is a really unique approach. Like you say, you've got all of these different companies that are showcasing their clients from all the different levels. And one thing I think is quite clever, and I'm not sure if this was deliberate or not, is it's during London Tech Week. So are you going to expect more investors that will be in London potentially coming up and seeing what Cambridge has to offer?
Well, we deliberately, even the last 2 years, we deliberately kind of put it up alongside London Tech Week. One, because saw it as almost like a sibling of what goes on in London. So London Tech Week, Cambridge Life Science Week, it kind of made sense. You've got a concentration of activities and people in London, and sometimes they do want to come out of London and see what's going on in the rest of the country, especially in some of the innovation hotbeds like Cambridge. So it was a very deliberate ploy, and this year we've kind of teamed up with London Tech Week. We've had a number of meetings and organisations of how we can cross-promote each of the innovation weeks and see how we can complement and learn from each other. So it's now, in a way, a much more symbiotic kind of UK level activity, and that's something we're really happy about, that we're not seen to be competing but seen to be working with London Tech Week. So that's something we're really happy about.
Yeah, it's great to see that collaboration. Faye mentioned there that the open day format is going to be on the Wednesday. Is that going to be similar to last year? What do we have in store this time?
It's going to be a very similar format to last year, but we've got some new venues joining us, like the Foxton, Grant Park are doing a bit more than before, Babraham, Cambridge Science Park are there, Alia, the Judge Business School, the West Hub. So there's all the core venues that were there last year are coming, plus 2 or 3 new ones as well, where they've kind of got some exciting new life science labs and facilities and offices that they want to show. And it's still going to be a very much of we're nudging to be a bit more even interactive than we were last year. So lots of talks, discussions, workshops, masterclasses all around the city, and people have a really fun buffet of activities to choose from on the day.
When I noticed that the social media started and the promotion is underway, I saw the term biotech and tech bio in the same sentence. So could you just walk us through the differences between the two? Because, they're subtle in terms of the differences perhaps, but maybe there's a deeper meaning behind that, the deliberate use of both of those terms.
Yep, so biotech is often used as a kind of a life science startup in contrast to a big pharma where a lot of innovation happens. But biotech is very, I would say, a more conventional science-based model, and the tech bio approach kind of uses AI or digitization or big data to kind of accelerate, do things at a faster speed, or create new opportunities within the biotech method. And that's how the term tech bio was coined in a way. It's kind of a technology-driven approach to drug discovery and a way a biotech works. I would say that's the contrast between the two.
Yeah, that's interesting. And do you feel Cambridge is well positioned to lead in that kind of tech bio area?
I would say this is one of its core strengths. Cambridge has always had an incredible heritage in tech, an incredible heritage in biotech and life sciences, so it was inevitable that Cambridge would be a natural world leader in tech bio. So there's some amazing companies coming out in terms of tech bio out of the Cambridge region and the UK as a whole.
Oh, that's great. I've learned something today. Thank you, Prashant. So just moving back to the week then. So we've covered Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You've then got a whole host of new events on as well. And actually across the week, there are new activities. Do you want to just give us a bit of an overview of the types of things that are happening?
Yeah, I think the big kind of win for Cambridge Wide Open Week is that we've kind of got AstraZeneca involved, and they've held a brilliant program called the Exchange Program, in which they kind of showcase a lot of their outreach activities, and they kind of showcase some of their principal investigators, some of their top scientists come and talk about the work that they're doing at this AZ Exchange event. So I'm delighted that kind of Sean Grady has championed this and moved it into Cambridge Wide Open Week. They'll be doing a reception as well, and they've very kindly opened out their disc to the BIA, who are based out of London, and they'll be doing their signature Tech Bio event as well in the morning. So that just kind of showcases how the community is coming together, small and large, to kind of showcase what exciting things are going on in and around Cambridge.
And you're doing this biotech bikers event, and I have to say, Prashant, the other day it came up on my feed because you run these on a regular basis. I thought that it was going to be like a nice little pootle around Cambridge and just a nice little gathering, but this is a serious bikers event. Everyone's lycra'd up. I mean, it's a proper cycle route around, isn't it?
Yeah, they're for the advanced cyclists. I mean, I'm always trudging around at the back, not dressed in lycra, and definitely not cycling very fast and kind of ambling around at my own speed. So they kind of got groups that go in 2-3 different speeds. So you will find a level which is comfortable to you.
Yeah, but I like, at least, like you say, there's something for everyone there. And then the other thing that piqued my interest was your chair of Form the Future. And you've managed to get Form the Future to do something for the community during the week as well. Tell us a little bit about that one.
Well, Form the Future is all about creating runways for young people in the Cambridge and the wider region, and kind of nudging them into exciting career opportunities. But this is an opportunity to do something a little bit more specific around life sciences, and it's about exposure, inspiration, and understanding what goes on in the life sciences world, making sure that in a way that these life science companies have a bridge back to the community. Sometimes the biotech world can be very short term in terms of the funding cycles, in terms of the do or die nature of whether your next experiment is going to work or not. But I think it's kind of valuable to reach back into the community and say, well, these could be the scientists, the lab technicians, the HR team, the techies of the future. And then if we can harvest local talent pool and show them and inspire them that this is what we're doing, that hopefully we can create a better runway for a local people from all sections of society, not people who kind of just are lucky enough to go to the elite institution. So we're kind of delighted that Form the Future are participating in this year's Cambridge Wide Open Week.
So yeah, leading on from the Future, I was going to give an opportunity for you to shout out the partners and sponsors that are making this happen. But just before I do that, can you reassure everyone that you're going to be running your O2H summer party again? Because this is becoming like an iconic event in the calendar with the bumblebees and all that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So you can expect more of the same, bumblebees and fun and a kind of a buzzing, hopefully with a good turnout atmosphere. And we'll definitely be running our afternoon party. And Faye, it's traditional for us to enjoy an ice cream, and I'm sure we'll do that again this year.
So why don't you just run us through the organisations that are helping you put this together?
Well, we've got amazing range of sponsors and supporters this year, and Mills & Reeve for the third year running have agreed to be the title sponsor, so we're really grateful to them. They've been an amazing support. But this year we've got quite a few more who've joined us. We've kind of got Kelty, Appleyard Lees, Modern Network, Stevenage Biosciences, Deloitte, Zenzero, Ita Capital, Cofinitiv, Faye and James, thank you so much for your support year in, year out, not only in terms of the podcast, but in terms of all the marketing and PR support that you provide the Cambridge Tech podcast. And did I mention Zenzero and Fora? If not, they're also in there as well.
They might have got a double hit, but they won't be upset about that. So I mean, it's great. And we had people, I think I said at the end of last year's event, we had people at the party coming up to us saying, we came to the event because we heard it on Cambridge Tech Podcast. So I'm hoping that we're going to drive some more of the audience for you this year. So I assume it's all about getting people booked on. How do they find out more?
We've got a website, Cambridge Wide Open Week, or CWOW. You'll be able to find it quite easily either way. And then we're doing regular updates on LinkedIn. And for example, some of the companies on the venture tour, we know the funds, but the companies are going to be announced soon. And there'll be a rolling publication of all the talks, the masterclasses that are happening. We'll be pushing that out on a daily basis, so you'll see an exciting run of energy of what's coming up as we get nearer the event.
I mean, it sounds really exciting. Why wouldn't we want to be involved? Thanks for coming on the show today and sharing that with us, and we'll catch up soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you both. Thanks, James. Thanks, Faye.
Today's show was produced by Carl Homer of Cambridge TV and supported by our media partner, Business Weekly. The Cambridge Tech Podcast is available on all major podcast platforms and on cambridgetechpodcast.com. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please give it a 5-star review. It'll really help others discover the show.